Hello everybody and welcome to today's edition of Locking It Down with Lucy. It is episode 116 and we have a special guest with us. We have Rahul, aka Rahulahoop, with us. He's sitting waiting in the wings. I'm very excited to chat with him. We've been chatting for a bit during the old tech test as one does now, because one has to be sure that things will go. OBS did an update. It was very worrying for a hot second there. I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but we seem to be live, I think. Okay, I just do need to address something in the housekeeping. People are asking about the super chat stuff. I haven't actually switched it on, so hopefully you're not doing anything. Oh no, waiting queue. What does that mean? What's going on? I don't know what's happening, but hopefully it finds you well. We've got some cool people in the chat today. We've got Bits saying hi. Special shout out to Shuhei. Yeah, one day Shuhei will be on the show, and that'll be great, won't it? We also got Edwin saying hi, Lucy. We've got Steve like a fox saying how's everyone's week going. We've got Caesar G saying hi, we've got Lolly Fox giving us a wave, we've got Robert War saying hi, we've got Dusty saying good evening all. It's good to have you all here. PS3 Scotland Gaming is saying hi. So, oh no, I mean Rahul is waiting in the queue, waiting like the Queen. I see, okay, very good. I'm with you now, I'm with you. Jamie is saying hello too. So today's poll is a topical one, as per the guest show dictates. The guest makes the poll. And so today, we'll talk about this a little bit when we introduce him. Rahul would like to know, did you manage to get into a game of Overwatch 2? Yes, all smooth sailing for me. No, stuck in the queue for hours, much like the Queen. Or no interest in Overwatch 2, or there's an Overwatch 2. I would have probably voted for there's an Overwatch 2, because I don't know what's happening in the competitive world these days. God knows what's going on. I didn't even realise there was such a thing. KRP TV is saying hi, Lucy. So it's good to see you all. So let me just start with a little bit of quick housekeeping. So tomorrow will be the start of the 20k celebration stream, where I will be trying to get 20 trophies across 10 different games to celebrate reaching 20k, and we're going to do it for as long as it takes. All right, so we'll probably do a little bit in the evening on Friday, but I'm thinking of doing a longer stream on Saturday. So I'll give you a little teaser. The first game that we will be playing is Death Stranding. Now I haven't played Death Stranding in since before the pandemic, because that's the time frame now that's easy for everyone to oh yeah, before the pandemic. So that'll be interesting to get back into that and seeing how long it will take me to get those trophies. So yeah, will I be able to make it? We'll find out. Maybe I'll have to give each trophy a 2-hour time limit, and if I don't make it, then we have to go to the next one. But I did have to scrap Elden Ring, because with Elden Ring you don't know if the next trophy is 5 hours away or 50 hours away. So Jamie's saying the super chat icon is there. Guess someone will have to try and see if it's accidentally on. Well, it shouldn't be switched on because I didn't for this stream, so maybe that's why. But I will try it out tomorrow. But more on that later. All right, so let's not keep our guests waiting. I'm very excited to speak to Rahul. But beforehand, let us watch some clip of the week for you guys. Got a small clip of the week here. It's when me and my cousins got together and they got very excited about being on clip of the week, so I couldn't actually tell them that they weren't going to make clip of the week. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll make you guys clip of the week. So here we go. Please enjoy clip of the week.
Oh no!
Imogen, where are we today?
We're our cousins!
Ta-da! It's clip of the week!
Clip of the week!
Oh.
Clip of the week! Clip of the week! Clip of the week! Clip of the week!
Way! So we're going to play some classic card games today, as per as we used to. We haven't done this in a long time, so it'll be good. What are you thinking? What are we going to play?
New market. New market.
Oh.
Never played.
I'm gonna play New Market.
This could be interesting.
Yeah, nor have I. All right, we'll see how it goes. Looks like the joke's on you.
Look, if anyone's got a joker, this is how we start. Playing with the joker.
Playing for money now. The big bucks are out. Oh.
Right, start. Okay, so, whatever, red or black. Someone's got the queen. I know this is four. Who's got the queen of clubs?
That'll be me!
You need to swap your hair!
I was bluffing.
Oh, you must have
Yeah! Wait, I think I just took your money.
Huh?
I think I took some of your money.
Cheater! Cheater! Cheat! Ah! 2-1. How much did you win? 80.
Thank you. So there you go, that was a little bit of Newmarket. At first, I'd never played that game before. Dusty was asking how you play. Basically, you have to bet on one of the queens, and then you all get shuffled cards, and if you get the queen, then once it comes up, you get all the money, pretty much. Although I didn't actually take any of my money home. So I was snafu'd out of that. Gah, good job gambling content is still out on YouTube. Always gambling here and looking it down with Lucy. I like how Robert Wall said that they also used to play Newmarket back in the day with their cousins too. I just wanted to say, I don't know if any of them were watching, but I thought that was very sweet and it touched me when they all just started doing Clip of the Week. That was unprompted. They all just started singing that themselves and I was like, oh my God, this is pretty cool, but thank you. That was sweet. Anyway. Enough about me. It's time to introduce my guest today, which is Rahul. He has been a myth, a legend on the show for some time. He came with me to Forbidden Planet. Something just fell off my desk in excitement. He also was there when we went to the opposite side, the dark side. We went to the Xbox store, the Microsoft store, and we indulged the woman with pretending that we didn't really know much when she was just like, look at this. And I was like, oh yeah. And then, he also let me touch his coveted Steam Deck a couple of weeks ago. So it's cool to finally get the living legend himself on the show. He is, of course, I can't do a Vitz. I'm sorry, Vitz, I'm going to let you down. But he is the lawyer lanyard. What am I saying? I'm just messing it up. The lanyard lawyer. It is. Please welcome to the show, Rahulahoop.
What up, Lucy?
Hello.
Oh man, that was an incredible intro. Love the lanyard lawyer.
Sometimes
Incredible.
I say things weird.
Incredible.
So yesterday I was at the computer and my mum was like, why did you just say that like that? And I was like, what are you saying? And I said, because my computer is really slow at home. It's like the worst thing. I was like, oh my God, I can feel myself getting to the bloody grave playing this. And she was like, why did you turn Australian? And I was like, I didn't mean to. But apparently to her, I was like, I'm heading to the bloody grave on this computer. That's what I sound like to her.
Hello, chat. Hello, everyone's. All the lovely people saying hello. This is lovely.
Yes, thank you. Oh, it's great for you to be here. So.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. This is awesome.
Like, of course.
Been a fan of the show for a while, and obviously very pleased to know that I've featured in it. But yeah, great to be on it properly now.
Of course, wouldn't have it any other way. So normally when we start off, we do a little, what are you drinking? So please tell us what you're drinking today. Everyone loves to know in the chat.
Oh, this is good because this is like also a piece of housekeeping because as you may be able to tell from my voice, I'm a little bit bunged up, a little bit ill. So I'm drinking some lemon and ginger green tea with some honey in it.
Nice.
So hopefully keep the throat, hopefully good enough to keep this show going, and hopefully I just won't start coughing and spluttering everywhere.
We're gonna shut this down.
And I'm drinking it from my Suits cup. If there's any Suits fans out there in the audience, obviously hope you guys will learn a bit more about what I do and why I love Suits so much. But just got my little Suits mug as well.
Nice. Yeah. I brought for you another mug, a PlayStation Classics mug.
Oh, look at that! That is swanky. I like that.
It's like a tin mug as well. So I do. I like
those retro colours are always, got a special place for those old colours.
Yeah, they are quite nice. But I shall be just drinking classic Coke Zero this evening. Nothing fancy today. So let's crack it open. Apparently, you're supposed to go. But then someone said you meant to do that as well to stop the old fizz. Well, I hope you get well soon, Rahul, as I try and attack this.
But I couldn't. I was not so bad. I was like, I can't miss the show. I gotta be here. I've got lozenges. I've got green tea. I've got tissues in case I need to blow my nose. Like, I am fully prepped. I'm ready. Like, this is gonna be great.
That's what I like to hear. Good prep. So let's start with a little bit of a check-in, the highlights and lowlights of the week. Let us know in the chat. We'll try and get to you as well. Tell us how you've been, Rahul. What's your highlights and lowlights of the week?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. In terms of highlights, I think we briefly mentioned this, but for those out there who don't know me, my favorite cuisine is Korean food. I love Korean food, and one of my favorite Korean restaurants is kind of far away, just slightly outside of London, in a place called New Malden, and I have booked a table there on Saturday with 10 of my buddies, well, 9, 10 including myself, and I've not been there in like 4 months, so I'm just like so stoked to go there. It's like the proper motivation to get me through the rest of the week.
Best
so
on the menu?
that's a highlight. Oh, it's their Korean fried chicken. That's what you go there for. Like, that's the reason you go there. If anyone wants to hit me up later and talk about Korean fried chicken, this place in particular, let me know. I'll be more than happy to recommend some places. But you have a question?
I have a question about Korean food. Okay.
Okay.
How is
Okay.
the kimchi pancakes? That's my favourite item on the menu.
Okay. This is going to be really disappointing, Lucy. I don't think they've got kimchi pancakes on the menu. This Korean place that we're going to basically specializes in Korean fried chicken. So their menu is very small, but very like specialist. But there are other places that I can recommend to you. So we can talk more about that.
Okay, we'll park that. We'll catch you offline.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as they say.
And in terms of low lights, I mean, nothing particularly low going on. I guess at work, two of my colleagues are going on holiday next week, and I have been handed over a bunch of stuff to like cover, which it's not ideal. Like, it just means I'm going to be quite busy over the next week or so, but I'm okay with that. It's not too bad. It only happens every now and again. So
yeah.
But I
better
guess-
than when people go on holiday where I work. It's like you go, see you guys, and you come back like nothing's been done. You've got all the work to do. Oh, great.
Oh man.
So I guess my low light of the week would be that it's just so cold. Like I can't. Now I don't want to let Martin Lewis down. I'm not turning the heating on. he you know.
Oh, he's not going to get me.
No, exactly. So I'm trying to stay strong because otherwise he'll come to me like the ghost of Christmas past and be like, it's too soon for the heating. Save the money. So that's kind of sucked. Very cold when I was doing my job today. My nose was very cold. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, that's going to get you. But as for a highlight, everybody will be pleased to know I made some human food this week. Ta-da!
No.
I know. So
Oh my
people
God.
have been interested in my cooking exploits.
I love how both of our highlights are food related. This is great.
Yeah, exactly.
We're on the same wavelength today.
Yeah, so I had a great video call with a friend who taught me how to make, now I can't remember what it's called, pico something or other. Like, it's basically, what's in a salsa, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had to chop some things. I chopped some
Oh,
tomatoes.
I feel like I know.
Pico de
I know
something.
what you're talking about.
Maybe someone
Yeah,
will know. Was it editable? Actually, I'll tell you what we did do. One thing was pico de gallo, Patrick says. Ta-da!
Oh, there you go. Nice.
So we
Nice.
made that.
GG's.
In addition to another Lucy original recipe, which is, brace yourselves for it. It's kind of been it's a mixed. So I had peanut butter and cheese wraps for lunch.
What? Hold on a second. Peanut butter and cheese.
Well, I wanted peanut butter and also cheese goes with everything, so I just chucked that in.
Well, okay, that's. I'm gonna have to take a second to like take that in. I've never heard of peanut butter and cheese. That is definitely a Lucy original.
Exactly. But I told a friend this and they were like, what? I need to step this up. So they made a quesadilla that was peanut butter and cheese. So we made peanut butter and cheese quesadillas with the pico de gallo or de gallo or whatever. And it was actually really good. I really liked it. I would highly recommend peanut butter and cheese quesadillas. So there you go.
Okay. All right. You know
Yeah.
what? I've never tried it. I'm not one to judge unless I've tried it. You're gonna have to tell me the recipe. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to do this thing.
Well, it's better than cheese and rice, which is a meal I've had before as well.
Cheese and rice. Right, okay. Yeah. We may need to have a conversation about some of this human food you talk about.
I really liked how cheese and rice sounds like Jesus Christ, like cheese and rice.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
So yeah, we got a few highlights and lows of the week coming in the chat. So let me see. So Dusty says highlight: Walking Dead: A New Frontier shiny for the spooky challenge. Congratulations! They mean they got a platinum.
Ooh.
Congrats on the platinum.
Very nice. Very nice.
And then the low light is they didn't enjoy it like the first two. Yeah. Have you ever played the Walking Dead games, the Telltale ones?
I played the first one. Yeah, season 1.
It's all downhill from
Yeah, it was
there.
good. It was good.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm glad. I'm probably not going to play the other ones then.
You're not missing out much. Let's see. KRPTV says highlight is that I've got no lowlights this week. Da! That's great. Lowlight is I've got no highlights either. Oh, so it's a middle of the road week.
Okay, so you're just having like a very consistent middle of the road week, you know? That's okay. You need those. So
I'd say that's like a
fine.
7 out of 10 week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's going good. It's going good.
exactly. Let's see if there's any more. Robert's saying, you are rocking Rahul's world, Lucy.
My mind is blown. I'm not gonna lie. I've never heard of these things. Rice and cheese or Jesus rice. Jesus rice.
I raise it from the dead myself.
But yeah, well, you know, I'm not one to judge. until I've tried. So
Well, a lot of it is
I'll
just
let you know
me.
how I get on with that.
Yeah, I just throw random stuff together in my fridge and just hope for the best. So that's how that comes about. We got R9 Core saying hello. It's good to be there. Right, so we don't really know much about you, Rahul. So I wanted to get a little bit getting to know you as we do in this segment. So I'm guessing you are, a gamer at heart. That's why you're here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good.
So I mean, do you want the origin story of Rahulahoop?
I've written on the show notes origin story. So if you would please, I'd love to know.
Same wavelength.
I'm imagining a comic book.
We're on it today.
Hit me. Where did it all begin?
the Marvel music, just I've like prepared like this full like Marvel comic book flicks bag. So my relationship with gaming is actually quite interesting because it started when I was a kid. My first ever console, PlayStation 1. It was purchased for me by my parents randomly. I didn't ask for it because I did not know anything about gaming.
Whoa, really?
So my earliest gaming memory is sitting in my dad's lap watching him play Age of Empires when I was like 5 or 6 years old. I didn't really know what I was watching. I was just like, my dad, just spending time with my dad. This looks interesting. And but I seemed to take an interest in it. My parents were like, oh, he's sitting and watching. He's quite like, he seems to be engaged with it. So for my 7th birthday, they bought me a PS1. And I don't know why. I remember this like it was yesterday. I'm like, oh, this is cool. What is it? And they were like, oh, you can play games on it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, this sounds really good. And the first game that I ever got, which I have.
Oh my God, this is perfect. I didn't know you had such props to hand.
Props. The first game that I ever had.
Can we guess?
Was this.
That is fantastic. What a good game.
This was the first game that I ever had on. This is the original 7-year-old Rahul copy that I was given with my PS1.
No, that is in such good condition.
Yeah, I literally just had it on a shelf forever. And so basically the way that my parents decided what games to get me was how colorful are the characters on the front cover. Because I was 7, right? Like, what were they supposed to buy for me? They don't know anything about games.
Yeah.
So I had Spyro, I had Crash, I had Croc, Legend of the Gobbos, if anyone remembers that.
I do remember that. I didn't have it.
Yeah, I basically had a bunch of 3D platformers like Bugs and Taz, the Time Busters, which is an absolute classic, and Bugs Bunny Lost in Time, 2 like licensed Looney Tune games. But yeah, basically all the colorful ones. That's what I had, and so yeah, I got into it. I started enjoying it, and I was like, oh yeah, it's pretty fun. I'm enjoying this. Me and my brother played, and then it really was when I went into when I got a bit older, and after school, my parents would go shopping once a week. And while they were shopping, I'd just be in the magazine section and I'd just read all the gaming magazines. And that's where I developed that interest where I was like, oh, I actually am interested in playing this game. And oh, this game looks really cool. And when the PS2 came out, I think it was my 11th birthday. I basically asked for that. And then that's when I properly developed an interest in gaming and started choosing games that I wanted to play. And yeah, that's where it all began on the gaming side, yeah.
Nice, because that's one of the things I remember that we first, had in common, is that we're both big Crash Bandicoot fans of the original. So that's really cool that your first game was Crash Team Racing.
Also, shout out to Robin in the chat. He just said, I just played CTR Nitro Fueled. Amazing game, fantastic remaster. Just so good to see it.
What do you think of all those remasters as a big fan of the originals?
Oh, I mean, they were God, the what's the word I'm looking for? The reinvigoration, the renaissance, or you know what I'm thinking of, the bringing back Crash and those original games, and the fact that the original trilogy led to Crash 4 being, the interest in it was Crash 4, there's a market for it, and then just people experiencing Crash Team Racing for the first time, it's just great. And I mean, I platinumed Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Absolutely loved it.
That's a good one.
It is hard. Those time trials, if anyone out there's played them, oh yeah, that was a tough one, but had to be done. And my thumbs had blisters on them but it was worth it.
Damn.
But yeah, big fan. And then even with the Spyro trilogy, really cool to see those just up-resed, beautiful graphics. can't complain. Yeah, it's beautiful.
I love when they remake the games and they are faithful to what they were. Like, it doesn't feel like... I don't like when they sort of stray from the beaten path. I want the original game, but just better frame rate, obviously nicer picture. And I think, isn't it in Nitro Fuel, they added a little bit of story to the game, which wasn't in the original.
Yeah, so I mean, the story was there basically, but there's a few other characters so it kind of combines a lot of the tracks from Nitro Fueled or Crash Nitro Kart, which was the PS2 sequel to CTR. So all the tracks and stuff are in there.
Yeah.
I don't think it adds much more story, but it adds a lot more content and a lot of different characters. And then, they had DLC for it, which was great. I mean, the big thing was they added trophies. I was able to go back and get the Platinum Trophy on Crash 1, Crash 2, Crash 3, and CTR. Like, I mean, some of the people in this chat, I'm looking at Vitz in particular, will remember the PlayStation party chats where, we were all just playing our own games, we were all sitting separately, and then it'd just be me constantly swearing at, like, the time trials in Crash 1, 2, and 3, and then the time trials in CTR as well. But, yeah, great times.
Yeah,
great nostalgia as well.
Those are some impressive plats, because I am actually missing the Crash Team Racing plat because I've just not dedicated... I just don't think I can do it. I don't think I have... the skill.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough one, but you can get there with practice. But the other thing is, I will say I'm not like a Mario Kart person because this was my first game. I have like a level of muscle memory and just like connection with the game where I was like, I have to do it. I have to. I can't not get the platinum in this, especially because I was waiting for this remaster for years. I remember like it was yesterday. They showed it off at the Game Awards, and Jeff Keighley had like a guy dressed up as Crash with a crate. And he opens a crate and pulls out the trophy. And God, I wish I reacted. I did a stream of my reaction because I lost it. I was like, that's the trophy from Crash Team Racing. That's the trophy from Crash Team Racing. And then they have like the lights in the sound effects. And then they did that thing where like it's the old graphics, and then Crash goes up a ramp, and then it just changed. The cameras flips, and it's like the new graphics. And I was just, like, it's best trailer ever. So good.
I love those types of memories. I remember losing my mind when it was announced that the Crash trilogy was happening, because it was like it was at E3 and it was like really late at night. So I was like in my bed. I'd gone to bed and set my alarm to wake up for E3 because that's what I used to do. And so and then it's like, what was it? It was
because Sony's were always at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. or something. Yeah.
So I wake up and I watch it, and then there was the announcement, and I was just going in my bed like, oh my god. There's no one around, but obviously I can't be like, so I'm just like freaking out, like flailing about in my bed, like, there was randomly driving on Twitter.
It's definitely one of those things. Like, I feel like the games industry builds this like one of my guilty pleasures is going back and watching like reaction videos to big announcements. Like, if I'm ever feeling a bit down or I don't know what to do, or I just want some motivation or some hype, I'll just go and watch reaction videos to like, God of War, like Kratos coming out the shadows and like, Phenos,
that was another moment. Hungry.
Yeah, and then like, God, like watching the reaction videos to that, it's just so hype. It gives you goosebumps. And like, man, when like obviously like FF7 remake, when Adam Boyes like smug as hell comes out, and because they just showed World of Final Fantasy, and everyone's like, you're trolling us, and then he's like, 20 years ago, the RPG world was taken by storm, and everyone's like, and then the green like background appears, and everyone's like, like, oh god, even I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it now. Like, it's this industry rocks. Like, it's so cool.
You just I miss that so much. Like, I don't feel like we have those moments, because the God of War thing, I didn't really know much about God of War, but that orchestra, as Bits was saying, that was so awesome. Like, it just like had a real like vibe to it. I'm just trying to think of other moments as well that I think I remember the Last of Us demo and being like, what is this? Like, and that guy just dropped the controller at the end. I was like, oh, and the Uncharted 4 reveal. I think that was another one where I was in my bed going, oh my god.
I mean, like that 2017 or 2016 E3 with God of War, like, it was bonkers, because that was when Crash was announced. Like, they had the shadow behind Sean Layden. He was wearing the... Then it was also when they did the VR demo and they showed all this stuff. And they're like, oh, by the way, this is Resident Evil 7. Because, like, it said, like, 7, and then Resident Evil, like, was superimposed on it. Yeah, the kitchen. Yeah, there was kitchen. And then it comes up with that. And then that same thing, they also showed off Spider-Man, Insomniac Spider-Man for the first time. I was just like, this was like the year of dreams. As Tim Geddes,
Oh, of course.
It's kind of funny.
Yes.
Tim Geddes would call it the year of dreams. But like that set of press conferences, like so many good memories from that. After this podcast, I'm gonna have to go rewatch it.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, because I'd forgotten about all of those things. Because now it's just like, now we're watching the state of play. Like, there's something different about someone coming on
Not
stage.
quite the same.
Yeah, and then you see the audience also going, oh, and like you're, oh man, that was one of my dreams as well. One of my dreams is to one day go onto the stage at some kind of E3 or whatever and be like, and there's one more thing. Like, oh no, it's the line.
It's got to be done one day. I believe in you. I think that's going to happen for you.
Oh, cool. So I do want to talk more about some of because you've been to some of these expos, haven't you? So let's jump to that now whilst we're in the thing. So we actually first met at RTX London, I believe. I was thinking about this.
That is correct.
Yes. So both Rahul and I, for those who don't know, we're Kind of Funny fans, and we went. There was like a meetup that happened. We were both there at the O2 where we had Nando's and went to Hollywood Bowl, but I don't think we knew each other. We didn't meet each other. It wasn't until RTX. Well, I think this is my memory of it, so you correct me if you have another memory. But I'm pretty sure we were in the line to play which was the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, because it was in that big bus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you came up to us because maybe you knew like somebody else. And you were like, oh, hey. And then you were talking about how you had your industry badge. And I was just like, oh, cool. And you spoke to Jen, Greg Miller's wife.
Yeah, because Jen was there. We have a photo of us all outside the Tomb Raider bus.
Yeah. So
I think I gave you, I had a spare industry pass, which I gave to you.
I've got it. Still got it.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Yeah, so I look at it and just like pretend that I was.
Yes, Vitz is correct. The Larazade. They had those.
It.
They were giving away those weird bottles of branded Lucozade.
Yeah. Oh my god, that was good. So that's my memory of our meeting. So, but you've gone.
No, I think that's spot on.
Okay, that's worked.
Yeah.
But I've only ever been to that. I went to EGX a few times. I went to the recent one. We can chat about that in a bit. But you've gone to quite a few in your time, which I've always been super impressed about. So please tell us how did this come to be?
So a lot of it is just related to my job. So I don't know. I think we're going to talk a bit more about my job and what I do a bit later. But I work in the industry, and as part of that, I have been going to a lot of events. So I used to go to a lot as a fan, but they were more UK-based ones. But then I got a job in an esports company, and that took me to a lot of events. So I went to E3 as a result of that.
Which one?
I went to the 2017 one. So the one after the God of War announcements and stuff. But it was E3 2017 was a crazy one for me because that's when they revealed Monster Hunter World. So that was in the and I was sat in a theater like watching that press conference. It was like one of those fan ones where they do it in a cinema, and I lost my shit. I think there's actually a video of me of like the cinema I was in on YouTube, and someone was videoing it from the audience, and you can hear me. You can't see me, but I'm pretty sure it's my voice because I recognize some of the other like the scenery of the cinema and stuff. But yeah, that was a great one. So yeah, I went to E3 as part of that. And then I was working on while I was at that esports job, we were working with Sony, and as a result of that, I got to go to 2 PlayStation experiences, which were the ones in Anaheim. So I didn't go to the first one that was in Vegas, but I went to the next
PSX.
2. Yeah, PSX. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So I went to those.
What were those like? Because they obviously never really happened. Like again, it was like very much product of its time.
I mean, they were incredible. And I think I don't know if we want to get to this bit now, but we were talking about like ranking some of the events.
Oh yeah, this is the topic. Let's go for it because I like how it's like transitioned into the expos.
But, I mean, you mentioned PSX specifically, and like, I think I was gonna go in reverse order of like my third, like second, first. But we're talking about PSX is top of the list. It was a event for the fans, 100%. It was also like one of the crazy. So when I went the first time to PSX with work, I went by myself. My boss was there, but he was literally he was like a bit kind of like, I'm just here for the meetings. Like I don't necessarily like he actually didn't spend that much time in the conference center because he went to like dinners and stuff with big shot executives. And I had to follow him for like a couple meetings and like take notes and stuff, but otherwise I was just allowed to roam the show floor. I queued up at midnight outside the convention center. I was the 9th person in the queue.
Whoa.
And it was bonkers. Like I've never done anything like that. I've done like a midnight launch for a game, maybe once, but I queued up outside and it was crazy. Like I became friends with everyone in the queue because if you're there at midnight, you are obviously a hardcore PlayStation fan. So there was that. And the coolest so this was a cool story I want to tell you, but I thought I'd save it for the podcast. But it got to about 2 a.m. and out of the convention center comes Sean Layden, Shuhei Yoshida, Adam Boyes, and Andrew House.
No.
They just come out. All the execs just walk out, and they come to like greet the people.
They are like
on the
the
line.
OGs of PlayStation of that time.
Proper OGs, yeah. They just came out, shaking hands, taking pictures, and so this is the craziest thing that's happened to me, right? And I think, okay, I'll get to it. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I was wearing a sweatshirt that has the original Wipeout logo on it.
Oh yeah.
There's like the blue and red like Fezar, like whatever, or blue and yellow like Fezar sweatshirt, or whatever. As Sean Layden comes through the crowd, he looks at my shirt and he's like, "That is a deep cut." And I was just like, "Oh yeah, like Wipeout." We had a little chat about Wipeout with him. Took a photo with him. Well, I'll find the photo because I've got it somewhere.
That's so cool.
And then he said to me like, are you gonna be in the conference tomorrow? Like the stage presentation. And I was like, yeah, of course, like absolutely. And he was like, I think you're gonna really enjoy it. And I was just like, okay, like what does that mean? And then I said to him like, oh, is it because I'm wearing a Wipeout t-shirt? Like what are you trying to say? And he's like, is this? And I was like, is this gonna be like another Crash Bandicoot t-shirt?
Oh yeah, because he had
thing? And then he was just like, oh, you have to wait and see. And then he walked off. And then when he comes on stage, he was wearing a Wipeout t-shirt. And he was like, he did a little joke about like, no Crash Bandicoot t-shirt this time, whatever. And then he revealed the Omega collection for Wipeout. Oh. And then I was like, he made that joke about I want to take credit for him making the t-shirt joke because he literally spoke about it like a couple hours before. But yeah, that was a really cool story. Like just like meeting all those guys.
That's so cool.
But yeah.
When do you get an executive job where you're like a celebrity just for running a company?
It's so strange.
That's nice of them.
But yeah, the other cool thing about the reason that PSX ranks so highly is because it was for the fans, and they really put a lot of effort into making it like a community-based event. And so I brought another prop.
Oh, prop number 2. I love it.
So they did this really cool thing where you would get an app. You get like a PlayStation Experience app. And they would basically give you tasks. And if you completed the tasks, you would get physical trading cards with trophies on them.
Oh, I think I remember you gave me one. Like I still have a thing that you gave me once from a PSX.
Yeah, so there was 2 kind of meta games going on. Every single booth, well, not all of them, but like most of the booths that were showing off a game, they would have like a trading card for that game, which you could get by take a selfie at our booth and post it on Twitter, or play the demo and we'll give you this card. Or, if you went to the PlayStation shop, you have to spend $10 and you would get a card or something. And so it became this like meta game where all the attendees were trying to collect all of the cards.
Oh, that's cool.
And basically there was that. And then on the app, there were things like you had like a QR code on your badge, and it'd be like, check into a developer session, or like check into 20 booths or whatever. So you'd have all these like trophies to get. And then if you get them all, you would get these trading cards. And I collected the full set.
Nice!
So
you got a whole...
I have a binder.
Did you buy that, or did they give that to you?
I bought the binder from
That's
the
a
store,
really nice binder.
But basically, I'm trying to find... Yeah, so you would get stuff like this, where you get actual trading cards with like a platinum trophy for collecting them all.
It's like PlayStation stars in real life. You've done it already.
Yeah, so there was some. So there's like a what have we got here? We got Spider-Man over there. So I've got a Monster Hunter one, which was signed by the executive producer and the game director because they did a autograph session. So yeah,
that's just so cool.
So yeah, and it's little things like this that made that event so incredible. Like, because some of them were secret. They were just like, how do you get this card? Like, because some of them were like, oh, you have to play like Star Wars Battlefront 2. You had to win a multiplayer game to get it. So then people would band together and be like, hey, should we be a group of 6? And then like we'll do, or a group of 10 or whatever. It's like 5 versus 5, and like we'll win the first match and then we'll line up again. You can win, so everyone can get a card. So you kind of like band together with the attendees, and it was just so cool. And obviously all the execs were walking around. So yeah, the question where I met Shuhei Yoshida was PSX. And again, one more prop. I've
more prop.
I got my PS Vita box signed by like a bunch of them.
Let's have a
So
look.
I think Shu's signature is there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Tim Geddes. We got Adam Boys.
Shout out to the Vita. Is that Gio Corsi?
Yeah, we got Gio Corsi, Brian Altano.
Man, I miss all these. I miss this golden age of PlayStation where it was like this kind of fandom where.
Yeah, it is so cool. I mean,
shame.
I don't know. This guy,
Is that Colin Moriarty?
Yeah, Colin Moriarty is the big CM on the top. But yeah, there was a TV show called The Tester. It was like a YouTube show. I don't know if you've seen it, like a PlayStation themed YouTube show. Oh, you absolutely okay.
Sorry, I'm a bit stuck. My mug smells really gross, so it's quite disconcerting drinking out of it. It smells like unusual safe, so I'm going to now just drink straight from the can. But yeah, please continue.
But what I was going to say is what was I going to say?
Sorry.
It's a YouTube show called The Tester. There's 3 seasons of it. Basically, it was like a reality game show where the winner would get a job at Santa Monica Studios.
Whoa, that's
you
quite
need
big.
to watch it if you've not seen it. It was incredible. Like, when I say incredible, I mean it was like terrible, but so good to watch.
Oh my god, I'll have to look that up. I remember watching one which was that IGN did, IGN Start, and it was like everyone had to make a game or something, and then people got...
Oh, yeah, your weekend is sorted. Because they're all like 20 minutes each, and like each season has like 10 episodes, so you can watch it in like 2 hours, but oh my god, they're so funny. They had like gaming themed challenges, and they would like live in a big house filled with like PlayStation stuff, and then they get eliminated week by week, and it was insane.
That's so cool. Yeah, I just missed that time. Do you think they'll ever do another PSX then?
You know what, I don't think so, because that's not the Sony that we're seeing. You know, they're much more corporate, not as they don't have those personalities like back in the day. You know, like Gio Corsi whipping his Vita out. Like when you come on stage and whip the Vita out, or Shu and like just being on stage. Like now it's very much, as you said, you know, the State of Play woman. Like now on State of Play, like it's just not that fun vibe, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be difficult, but it would be amazing to see it again because it was my favorite event. You know, we don't even need to rank the other conferences. Like PSX is up here, everything else is down there. The only other thing I want to say is like I think E3 is a little bit overrated. I prefer Gamescom to that, which is the massive one in Germany.
Can you tell me a bit about Gamescom? Because I'm not too familiar with it. Like, so it's the same kind of thing, but just in Europe.
Pretty much. I mean, it is the biggest. Well, so by pure footfall, it's the biggest conference in the world. They had 400,000 people like come through the doors across like the 5 days. So I went to the most recent one, which was in Germany. Well, it's always in Germany, in Cologne. And yeah, it's just like a massive E3, but like it's definitely like because E3 was traditionally media and business, like it wasn't always open to fans, whereas Gamescom has always been like half industry and media. So they'd have like 2 industry days, and then they would be like 4 consumer days.
So I could go one day.
Yeah, you can absolutely. I mean, you can go to an industry day because you work at PlayStation.
Yeah, but I don't know if I really like if that really like. Oh, I'm just the website, and then just you deserve to go.
I think you can just apply for it, and you just have to upload some credentials of the fact you work at Sony. So you wouldn't need like any sign off from anyone. You just say, I work at PlayStation, like here is my proof of that, and then they might approve you for a pass straight away.
Interesting. So do they still happen in real life? Because obviously I know that they sort of fizzled out.
Yes, Gamescom happens in real life. It started back again after the pandemic this year. And yeah, as Vitz was saying, Jeff Keighley has his opening night live showcase. So now there is like a presentation style event where they show gameplay and like new trailers and announcements and stuff. So it's definitely worth it. Like it's a lot of fun.
What are you doing when there's not the presentations? Are you walking around the show floor playing the games then? And
So yeah, it's an expo, so they have loads of games you can queue up for. They have like, because it's a mixture of business and consumer.
sorry, are you dying?
Say again.
Are you dying over there?
Yeah.
So I'll just let you.
No, I'm good. But yeah, like it's a mixture of like community and business, so or consumer and business. So they do have a lot of interactive things. Like they have loads of competitions going on. It's like they've got kind of community events where, you know, there was one where it was like, this was a long time ago, but they were trying to break a Guinness World Record of like the most people playing on a Nintendo DS in one room or something like that. It was like this, so everyone had to turn up at a certain time and play on their DS for like 5 minutes. This was like years ago. But yeah, they would do interesting stuff like that. I don't know if they do that anymore, because it's probably not a good idea to crowd like hundreds of thousands of people into one room.
Yes.
But they used to do stuff like that.
So what time of year does that happen? Because I'm trying to think about maybe next year I should make it my goal. So whenever I hang out with you, you're like, oh, I went to like TwitchCon, did this. And I was like, maybe I should try and go to one.
We should go to Gamescom. I mean, it's in August.
Oh,
We
so
should
could
definitely
make
go
that
to
happen.
Gamescom. That'd be fun.
Oh my
Because
god.
also, if you get a business pass or an industry pass, then you can also go to like the B2B like area, and that's where you can basically play all the games without any lines. And that's also where like all the journalists and like you know, influencers will be, because they'll have like media like behind the closed doors, like meetings and stuff. So
I'm going to look into this. I something that I'm really like curious to do.
I think you should.
Yes, I'm putting up my goal for next year. What was TwitchCon
Shout out to
like?
Robert telling me to take a drink. I know
yes.
I was struggling there.
Sorry, yeah,
I
take a
did
sip.
drink some tea, but we're good. We're good.
Yeah. Because I normally do all the talking on the show, so it's nice to have somebody else to talk with. I'm always like, oh, no. So now I'm like, oh, let's let someone else.
And Jamie said, I thought E3 is in Europe as well. So I don't think E3 specifically is in Europe, because it's more. So E3 is run by something called the Entertainment Software Association, which is basically like an American lobbyist group that like try and promote the interests of the game industry in America. So E3 is a very American thing. So like in the UK, we have something called UKI, which is like UK Interactive Entertainment. That's like the UK equivalent. So yeah, E3 is a very American thing. I think Gamescom's the big one in Europe.
Our one is EGX, which you went to this year.
Yeah, I was only there for a day this year, but yeah, EGX is sort of Eurogamer Expo, which is the UK one.
How did you feel about it? Because I've been to it 3 times now, and I don't think it was ever as good as the first time I went, which was back in like, I don't know, 2011. It was back at Earl's Court then. I feel like it's declined a bit. What were your thoughts on it this year?
Honestly, it was fun, but I think you have to temper your expectations, because, as you said, back in the day, EGX was a massive expo where PlayStation and Microsoft and Nintendo would be there, and they'd have these massive booths, and again, very interactive. And now, I think post-pandemic, companies have realized that they don't actually need a presence at these big marketing events, because they're really expensive.
Yeah.
Like, I think there was this whole thing about like Jeff Keighley's opening night live, which was like, you have to be an exhibitor at Gamescom, and it costs something like $100,000 to get like a 2-minute trailer in his showcase.
Damn.
Yeah, and then I think when EA and when Sony originally pulled out of E3, there was this whole thing about how it costs like $250,000 to get like a medium-sized booth at E3, and people were just like, yeah, this is like too expensive. We don't need this, because they realized that they can just get the same eyeballs on their product by streaming these conferences. And what, like, you know, a lot of the times I'll watch Kind of Funny watching the conference.
Yeah.
So it's just like no one needs to be there in person, because everyone just watches the influencers that they like watching these conferences. And then the whole watch along element of it, you know, everyone's in Discord chat. It's basically like being there. So
yeah,
I guess
think it's a shame. Like it was very barren.
It is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, that was my takeaway. It's just like I remember going and there was this massive
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, Caesar said these expos are full of indie booths now. That is because I love indie games as well, and it's really good. Again, related to what I do for my job, so I do like going to them for the indies. But yeah, the big hitters, you might get 1 or 2 of them. So I think at EGX, Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah,
had a
which
booth
I
there.
skipped.
Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah.
And I think Wolan Fallen Dynasty was there.
I didn't know what that was.
Sort of like a Dark Souls-y kind of action combat game, I think. I've not actually seen too much of it, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
Shout out to Paul, who just said Rahulahoop is an epic name. Thank you very much.
It is very good. my takeaway from what I was going to say about EGX, which has slipped my mind suddenly, so I'm now just stalling for time whilst I'm trying to get the information back. Because that's what I was going to say to you. So. I've lost what I was going to say about EGX, 100%. That's gone out of my mind. But I did want to pick up on the indie games thing, because I remember you're a big indie games fanatic. So is there anything... Now, people know me. I'm a bit of a AAA snob. I don't touch the indie titles, darling, if they believe me. But I'm trying to be better, trying to, get with the common people and see what's going down.
The common people?
See what life's like down there when you pay $20 for a game and it's 5 hours long. So I want to know, like, what kind of games, like, I dip my toe in the water a bit, and I feel like they can be a little hit and miss. So tell me some of your hidden gems. What are some games that maybe I should investigate in? Or even the chat? What are we...
Okay, so there is one that has just recently come to PlayStation. Everyone's raving about it. It initially was PC and Xbox. It's called Tunic. I don't know if you've...
I've heard of this. It was on Xbox. I remember this.
It launched on PlayStation, I think, last week, and it is fantastic. Like, it's so cool, like, the way that the game unfolds and, like, gives you information. It's basically sort of like a Zelda game. So it's like isometric. Like,
I've never played Zelda.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, okay. So it's a very cute animation style. Like, you play as this little fox, and you're basically kind of uncovering this mystery about, like, basically, I don't really want to say too much about the story, but you're trying to unravel this mystery, and there is a quest that you're on, and the way that the game, like, gives you information on how to play it and what your objectives are through this manual. So if you remember back in the day, video games used to come with manuals.
Show us that Crash Team Racing manual for the people that weren't born.
Here. This is a beast as well.
Yeah,
like,
this is a manual.
This is a thick manual. Like, look at how many pages that is.
Oh, I love it. And does it still smell? Not like the new man.
Maybe not the original smell, but like, it's really cool because like where
you get like the backstory, don't you? You get like they used to do like intro, like Crash and his friends, blah blah blah, and Oxide is doing this, and then you get all the
look
weapons.
at this. This tells you like all the characters. Gives you a little bio on them.
And it's all in different languages as well.
So Tunic, basically, when you play the game, you collect pages of the game manual, and then that gives you information and tips, and like pages of the manual have been drawn on, like as if like someone has been like writing notes in it, and it kind of gives you hints and tips of like how to progress.
I'm writing this down. You're making me want to investigate.
Tunic is great.
So you think I'd like it?
It can be difficult.
Do you think I'd like it?
I think you like it, but then again, I don't know. Like, the combat, it is a bit tricky, but I think it's fun. Like, and I've seen you play hard games. Like, you've played Uncharted on Crushing, so like you're not gonna struggle too much, I don't think.
Now here's the big question: how's that plat looking for Tunic? What are we saying?
Ooh, I've not actually, because I played it on PC. Because when it first came out, it wasn't out on PlayStation. The achievements are. There's a lot of hidden stuff, so you probably will need to look at guides and things to like solve, because there is a true ending that requires you to basically like 100% the game, and some of that stuff I would be shocked if, like, again, not to say anything about like your gaming ability, but like some of the stuff like is impossible to figure out like by yourself. You'd have to be like a certified genius to figure out some of the puzzles. So you may need a guide.
That's all right. I'm not above a guide.
yeah. No, in that case, you'd be fine.
Okay, interesting. A lot of people in the chat also agreeing with you on Tunic. Many people played it then, I guess. That came out this year, or was it?
It came out last year, but it came out onto PlayStation.
All right.
This year.
I shall try and investigate this then. Is there any other? So, what is it about the indie titles that you enjoy?
I think it's just you see a lot of different concepts, like when you're like I feel like with AAA games, they're so expensive to make these days, and as a result, they need to have some kind of mass market appeal, just because they got to sell copies, right? Like that's what they're there to do. Whereas I feel like indie games can be a lot more experimental. They can have really crazy ideas, and as a result of that, you get much more like creative, interesting stuff. Again, not to knock the AAA. Like I'm also a big fan of AAA games as well.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
I think
think
I'm
it's
in the
just-
wrong. You know, I'm in my ivory tower looking down. So that's why I always like to ask people and be like, oh, okay. So what got you into it? Because for me, it was just like, I don't know why. They just seemed, I don't know, like, okay, here's probably, now that I'm thinking, this is like a therapy session. What happened? Why was it that I feel so averse to indie games? I think it might be because back in the day, they were called downloadable games or PlayStation Minis, so it made them feel that they weren't real games, and they never had any trophies. Maybe that was where it
and
stemmed.
I agree. There is a price element of like you're paying £20 for a game which you may finish in 5 hours or 4 hours or something like that, and for some people, again, there is a kind of, for some people, like that is what you would use as a metric for value for money.
Yeah.
Like if I'm going to spend £70 on a game, but I can play it for 100 hours or 200 hours, then that's great, value for money. Whereas if you spend £20 on a game and you finish it in 4 hours and you just never play it again, you'd be like, like I could have got something a bit more bang for my buck.
Yeah.
Again, it really depends on what kind of gamer you are as well. I also think indie games can like go into real niches where you can find something like really crazy that just like resonates with you.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's what got me into it. It's annoying because I'm trying to think of some of my favorite indie games of all time, and I'm just drawing like a massive blank because I just can't think on the spot. But there's just so many really creative games out there.
So I did a challenge last year where I gave myself a £20 sort of limit, where I was like, okay, I'm going to spend £20 in the indie sale, and I picked up Adam Venture. Ever played that?
Which one?
Adam Venture.
I have not played that.
It's an Uncharted rip-off. Like the main character is literally looks like Nathan Drake, and he has like his sidekick called Eleanor. It's like, but it's a really easy platinum.
Wow.
So I was like, I have to buy this because this is quite funny. Now my highlight was I did pick up Guacamelee 2. That was really fun because I liked
nice.
Guacamelee 1. That was good. What Remains of Edith Finch though was the one that I was like, that's definitely what you're talking about, that creativity. I didn't really know what it was, didn't know what to expect from it, but I was like, this is cool. Like every single like section of that game was something different, and I just got super into it. Again, it was short. I think I beat it in a Sunday morning, but the fact that it resonated with me so much in that short time, and I'm still thinking about it, I think makes it worth the experience. Like I could play a game that's 40 hours long, Forbidden West, and not think anything about it. I'm like, nothing happened. But a shorter game did last. Oh yeah, and Cuphead. I loved. I need to go back to Cuphead. Did you ever play Cuphead?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I played Cup. I was terrible at it. Didn't get past the second island. I think there are 3 islands.
Yeah.
I did the first one. I was like, maybe I can do this. And I can't remember what boss it was. There was one that just broke me, and I was like, because the thing is, I watched a Let's Play like when it first came out. Because again, when it first came out, it was an Xbox exclusive. So I watched one of my like favorite YouTubers playing through it. So I knew what the bosses were. And when I got to this boss on the second island, I was just like, if I can't beat this one, I'm never gonna beat the ones in the towards the end. So I was like,
can I guess? Is it the one where there's the dragon and you're on the clouds?
That one, I think it could have been that one. I'm not sure if I even got to that one.
Was it the bird that goes, and you're like,
there was one on a train as well.
Oh.
That I hated.
Yeah, that was on the third island. Yeah, that's the ghost train or something.
Okay, maybe I did get to the third island then.
Oh look, people say a grim matchstick. Some people have got the names in the chat. Thank you. I want to plat that game. That's one of the.
That is a big ask, but
I
hey,
keep thinking
more
about
power
it.
to you if you can do it.
That was one of the games that I remember seeing when Xbox had it, and I was like, oh, damn, I really want to play Cuphead so badly. And when it came to PlayStation, I was like, yes! Because I was kind of like thinking like one day maybe
My
I'll
time has come.
because I knew it'd be a game that I would probably enjoy for some reason. I'm not sure why. And I did. I love the art style, I love the music, and I just got super into it, and then I just put it down, and now I'm afraid. I'm afraid that if I go back, do I have the skill? Will my hands still be able to do it? You know? So
Right, muscle memory, you gotta rebuild it, but you
I
can do
hope
it.
so. That's a real fear, you know, that I have, that one day I just won't be able to have the reflexes, you know? Old age is catching up to old Lucy. What if when I'm like, I'm shattered?
Tell me, I was playing the Modern Warfare 2 beta like 2 weeks ago. I just can't keep up with the kids. Their reactions are too good. I'm just not good enough.
Oh man, I'm boomering hard over here. My sister keeps like, she's like, Lucy, what's happened to you? You're turning into a boomer. I'm like, oh, please. It's like, that's a new movie that's happening to me, like a horror film for Halloween. Have you suddenly
Your
been unable?
slow descent into becoming a boomer.
One day, were you at the cash machine and you didn't know how to work it? Boomer. And I'm like, no, it can't be happening to me. Someone, give me some new technology.
Self-checkout? What?
Yeah. Is your life spiraling out of control as you can't work a printer? And I'm like, hang on, I've never known how to work a printer. Nobody knows how to work a bloody printer. It doesn't count. So yeah, that's my struggle. But I wanted to touch on your trophy hunting ways. Both of us here are into trophy hunting. A lot of people in the chat are into trophy hunting. Now, Rahul has got some pretty impressive plats. He alluded earlier that you had the Crash Team Racing, but that's just the beginning of the mountain for you. You've got some good ones.
I want to remind myself of what plats I have. I don't know if I can pull them up because I've got some which are pretty crazy, but
Well,
I
you've
don't
got to know
how to.
one of your best ones. This is the one I was going to pull out because I think Monster Hunter has got to be one of your favorites. That was 200 and something hours.
Monster Hunter World is it was a mission. It was one of the most difficult because there's a trophy which is just pure RNG and it's brutal because there is no way to effectively or efficiently grind it. You just it's just pure chance and it's so frustrating. So if anyone's played Monster Hunter World, there is a trophy. So each monster, when you slay it, it has a size like given to it, and then that goes into your hunting log as the monster you killed was of this size. Now, if it is sort of in the top 5% of its size range, or the top, as it is in like bigger than it should be, or in the bottom 5% of its size range, so super small, you get a little crown icon that comes into your hunting log. So you get a little gold crown saying you hunted the biggest one of this monster, or like one of the really big ones. When you go into a quest, you have no idea whether it's what size it is. You just have to kill it, and then at the end it'll tell you. There is a trophy for getting the smallest gold crown and the biggest gold crown for every single large monster in the game. And in Monster Hunter World, it's something like 45, and then in Iceborne, it's also a separate list. And it's just pure RNG. Like, you just have to hunt the monster over and over and over again, and just hope to God that it's a gold crown.
How long do you think you spent on that alone?
Say again?
How long do you think you spent trying to get that trophy alone?
Oh, I absolutely put in maybe 50 or 60 extra hours after I was done. Like, I would have stopped playing the game were it not for these trophies. Because I was like, I'm a Monster Hunter fan, long-time fan. This is the first Monster Hunter game that has trophies, because all the previous ones are on PSP or Nintendo Wii or whatever, so I have to get the platinum. Like, this is
I love that, yeah.
This is a milestone moment for Monster Hunter, the first one that has trophies. So yeah, I played 60 extra hours that I wouldn't have played just to get the platinum. And I was on party chat with all my friends when I got it at like 2 a.m. I may have cried.
I don't blame you. Oh, that sounds like a nightmare. Like, I think I almost cried when I got the Returnal final cipher. I was like, oh my God, it's happened. Like that.
I mean, Returnal is tough, so respect for that. That is a crazy platinum.
Well, it's more the fact that the RNG, again, it kills you because you just have to play it over and over again, hoping that the last thing will spawn. So I believe it's your pinned tweet is you're getting the platinum.
Yes, it is.
And you say it's like 256 hours.
But I also have one other platinum, which I'm incredibly proud of, which is very niche. So in April 2016,
God, let's take it back. Yes.
this game came out on PS Plus. It was like a free PS Plus game. It's called Dead Star.
Okay, that is niche.
And it's like a space MOBA game. Like it's kind of like top down. So you get to see your little ship, and you have to basically destroy the opponent's base, and that involves you like taking over. So there are all these little bases that are neutral, and you have to kind of have a little dogfight. And then if you stay on it long enough, you capture it, and then you can spawn there. So your whole point is like moving across the map and eventually destroying the opponent's base. So you get all these different types of ships, and they all have different powers. Some are big and they're tanks. Some are like really nimble, but kind of like glass cannons that can do a lot of damage, but they explode quickly. I don't know. The world didn't care about this game. Like the servers shut down in October 2016, so the game lasted for 6 months.
And you got the platinum of 6 months.
It is a online only game, and I think it has like a 0.1%. Like on PSN profiles, it's 0.01% because there was so much RNG. Like one of them was get to the maximum level online, which is 50, and then one of them was complete this very difficult like side quest thingy called like a contract run. It's like this weird thing that only makes sense in the game. But not only was I one of the very few that got platinum, because I loved this game. I played it religiously. I don't know why, it just resonated with me. Loved it. And there was one particular ship called the Bulldog. It was like a sniper ship. So it's like a really fast ship, and it has like a rail gun. And if you aim it perfectly, it's like, imagine twin stick shooter.
Yeah.
Railgun, if you can basically kill all the small size ships in like one hit, and medium sized ships in like 2. So you basically it's like very quick, really fun. When the servers shut down in October, I was #1 in the world for kills and experience points with the Bulldog, with that ship.
That's what.
And
Is that forever?
I have a screenshot of that. Yeah, and when the server shut down, I tweeted that at the developers, and they were just like, they had the prayer emoji, and they were just like, thank you for playing our game. And I was so sad because like it's gone. You can't play it because it's online only, so there is no way to play it again. And it was crazy because when they announced the servers were shutting down in the Europe server, like I was playing on EU West, there was only like 100 people. So in those last 2 weeks, I became friends with all the people who were frantically trying to get the platinum because we all knew that it was just us. Like we were the only players in Europe, and we all basically helped each other get it. And I became friends with them on PSN. We hopped into party chat. We kind of helped each other boost and to get to the maximum level, and we all got there in the end. And that was like a crazy experience for me. It's like a platinum that I'm very proud of, but no one has ever heard of.
Yeah, that is such a cool story. That's what I really like about like your trophy hunting, is you always like put in the dedication for the games that you truly love, and that's what I think it should be. Like, so I have major respect. 'Cause another game I know you have, which is also very jealous of, you've got the original vanilla Persona 5.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like what? How long did that take?
That was a long one. So I did 2 playthroughs because I made a very big mistake on Persona 4 Golden.
Oh
the
God,
one on Vita,
yes.
because I didn't use a guide at all on my first playthrough, so I didn't get the true ending, and I stupidly didn't make a save in the right place. Like I accidentally overwrote it, so I couldn't go back. So I had to do another playthrough.
Wait, you have
to
to
get the
platinum
true.
that?
No,
Oh.
I still don't because I. So I did a second playthrough to get the true ending, and then I was like, right, I'll get the plat in my second thing. No. If you get the true ending, there's a trophy you can only get in the next playthrough after you've got the true ending. So I was just like, no, I can't do 3 playthroughs. I love the game to bits.
Yeah,
like,
it's a long game.
Persona 4 Golden was one where when it ended, it left a void in my life. For like, I was genuinely sad for like 2 days. I didn't know what to do with myself when it was over. But with Persona 5, I was like, I'm going to be really clever at this. I'm going to make saves at methodical points. So if I screw this up, I can just go back and get it. It still took like 100 hours or something. Because I understand the Persona 5 Royal Trophy. Or
Piece of
Platinum
cake.
Yeah, apparently it's a lot easier because there's a lot less like grindy ones. But
Oh yeah, you literally, like, a little bit of planning is required, but you can do it all in one playthrough. And if you know what you're doing, then you'll just be, oh, I'll just do that. Like I feel like it's almost the cheat platinum trophy compared to like what you had to do for the vanilla, because you're not getting the whole game. But I will say it is a fantastic game. Like all that extra content is top notch.
I do need to go back and play it. I think whenever they announce Persona 6, I'll probably play Persona 5 Royal through just to like get in the mood. But because when Persona 5 Royal got announced, I was like thinking, should I do a Persona 5 like second playthrough to get the platinum? And then Kumail, one of our other friends of the show, was like, no, you got to play Royal. Like that's got all this extra content. I was like, but I've already got like 58% of the trophies on the OG one. So if I do another playthrough, I kind of just want to clean those up. And then I decided to go that way. So I've not played Royal yet, but luckily it's not been spoiled for me. So I will get there eventually. But yeah, that was a fun one. I mean, Persona, just classic. Great games.
Yeah, fantastic game. But that sort of leads me on to ask you about, like, you know, we've got a few questions in the chat, which also helps lead to this. What are you playing sort of these days? Like I heard before we talked, Rahul said, oh yeah, I haven't actually turned on my PlayStation in 2 months. Dun, 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 because I think
oh no, I'm being shamed. I'm sorry.
He's gone to PC. Everybody, please talk us through this decision in your life. What's happened? You have a Steam Deck on
just full this. I will be turning my PS4 on, PS5, sorry, when God of War comes out. Like that's definitely on the list. But yeah, right now I'm playing a lot of PC games.
Are you at your computer, as in your mouse and keyboard, or are you on your Steam Deck? Your mouse and keyboarding
I have a PC. Yeah.
You're WASDing.
But I have a controller plugged in as well.
Thank God.
So, but yeah, so in terms of indie games, I'm playing a game called Disco Elysium, which is like this, like kind of gritty detective, like murder mystery game, but like it's like a heavy RPG. So a lot of it's based on dice rolls and your stat allocation. So if you put a lot of your stat points into charisma, then certain dialogue options open up, and you have to basically solve this mystery based on the way you build your character. So you could build him to be like really intimidating and scary, and then the way that you solve the mystery is by like roughing people up, or you can build him to be very charismatic and you just charm people into giving you the information, or you build him to be very sneaky and you just sneak around and break into people's houses and get information or whatever. So that's pretty cool. I just recently completed a game called Death's Door, which is just another sort of like isometric, dark, like slightly difficult combat. Again, I hate calling stuff like Dark Souls like just if the combat is hard, but it is kind of tricky. But that was really good. And then my staple 3 games, which are all PC games, I'm playing Genshin Impact. Absolutely adore that game.
Yes,
I know
I remember that about you.
It's a free-to-play like microtransaction-y mess, but I love it. It's like incredible. I'm also playing another like MMO, which is very similar to Genshin, but more kind of futuristic, called Tower of Fantasy. So that's like Genshin's more like high fantasy, and Tower of Fantasy is more like cyberpunk, like mechs and futuristic. And then I'm playing an FPS game called Splitgate, which is, if you imagine like Quake or Unreal Tournament, imagine like the kind of combat of that, like very floaty, like you jump around and do all these like crazy gravity jumps, but you have a portal gun, so you can basically create a portal, or like you can create like a gate via 2 portals, just like in the game Portal. And you can shoot through them, you can travel through them. So the multiplayer experience is just so frenetic, because like within 10 seconds you can be on the other side of the map. So the match could start and someone just knows the route, and they just make all these portals and they teleport behind you. But you can also do the same. So the whole game pace has just increased and is really fast. So yeah, I really enjoy that. I play a little bit of Valorant with friends, but I'm terrible at it.
So all these games on your PC, can you just like play them and then you just pick up your Steam Deck when you leave the house and pick up where you left off?
Yes. So it all has cloud saves. So just shout out to Jamie saying Splitgate is amazing. And yes, Crash Test Gaming. I did mention Disco Elysium. Fantastic game.
Real deal here.
Really
Got a true
recommend
gamer on, not just me, the old PlayStation sellout.
Don't worry, I'll be there with you on God of War Day. November 9th, I'll be right there.
So is there anything else you're looking forward to? I know Mega Pork Chop Express asked what other games are you looking forward to this year? Or in the coming year?
I played the Modern Warfare beta and I really had a good time. Like, I'm terrible at shooting games generally, apart from Splitgate, but I really had a good time playing the beta. I'm probably going to pick it up just because a lot of friends of mine will be playing it. God of War's a big one. And you know what? I know this is very recent, like hot off the press, but that new Need for Speed game, Unbound, it's coming out on the 2nd of December. It's got this like kind of street graffiti, like anime aesthetic to it. I was all about it. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So I'm kind of looking forward to that one as well. I think those are the ones that are kind of recent. There are probably ones further down the line that I'm looking forward to as well. So, but yeah, they're too far away to think about.
Nice, yeah. Well, I'm going to do a hard transition now to ask you about your... Very smooth, right? To ask you about your career in the gaming industry, because that's something that you obviously wanted to speak about. Both of us work within the industry, but we have slightly, obviously, different areas of expertise. So tell the people what you're about. So
for those who don't know, my job is that I'm a lawyer who specializes in the video games and esports industries. So basically, all the legal stuff around the industry are things that I deal with. So it could be publishing contracts. It could be like, let me give you some real examples. I won't say any names, but just to give you an idea. So I did a contract between an orchestra and a game development studio because the orchestra was composing the original soundtrack for the game. So we had to make sure that the orchestra like compose it and then play it and record it. And then we need to ensure that the studio has all the rights to include it in the game. So I drafted a contract for that.
Wow. So what? So the day-to-day is like, do you go to meetings to sort this out and then just type it all up? Like, yeah,
basically just draft. Yeah, so we discuss what all the terms are. So, what's the studio going to pay the orchestra? What's the structure of the deal? And then, just draft it up and make sure the rights are secured. I also do a lot of... I think of another good example. I've done like voice acting agreements. So when talent like are providing their voice for a game, I'll do the agreements for that. I also do a lot of like what we call like content clearance. So whenever some of our clients are releasing advertising for video games, we make sure that it complies with all the kind of advertising regulations in the UK. And in other jurisdictions, like if they're showing it in America, they may have different regulations. So it's.
Did you study law? Like, I'm not curious. How did you get into this profession? Because it's something that I feel like a lot of people, especially myself, was like, of course that's a job in the gaming, but you just don't really think about it. Like, then lawyers need to be everywhere. So it's an interesting.
We are everywhere in the shadows.
Whenever something goes wrong, your lawyer will show up like a superhero. So I'm just curious, like how you managed to find this avenue into gaming.
So it's like not a amazing. It's not like a incredible story. It's kind of funny, like sort of one where.
Well, you're not like Batman. You fell down like I must protect the law and write contracts.
Justice. No, basically, I actually wanted to be a game developer. So as I was saying, my interest in games started developing around the PS2 era, reading magazines and starting to make my own decisions about what games I'm interested in and what I want to play. And around age 14, 15, I thought, I want to be a game developer. I want to be in this industry. I want to be making stuff. I want to be on E3 one day, like presenting my game on the stage, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And so I told my dad, and he purchased this thing, and it was like a bundled software package that basically teaches you how to code games. So I was like, I've never done any programming or coding before, but I thought this is how you do it, right? This must be. So for one of my birthdays, my dad purchased this bundle. So over one of my summer holidays, I had like 6 weeks off. So I was like, all right, this is how I'm going to learn. Sat down, tried to follow the instructions, and they would teach you how to make like platforming games or endless runner games. And they were teaching you about like 3D versus 2D and physics engines. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I was going through like the whole thing and following all the steps. And at the end of that summer, I was like, I have got zero skills for coding. Like nothing works. I'm terrible at this. This is just not happening. Like I'm not built for this. Like these people who build games, they are built different. Like 100%. I just can't do it. So After at that age, excuse me, at that age, I was young. I didn't really understand how the industry worked. I was like, if I can't code or program, then there's no chance of me being a developer. I was like, I've got no artistic talent. I can't write scripts for games. So I was like, there's no way I'm getting into the industry. Pipe dream, put a pin in it, never gonna happen. Went to university, studied history originally, and then I converted to law. And then one day, I just had this eureka moment where I was like, video games companies are businesses. They must need lawyers, right? Like, that's a thing. And then I was like, yeah, like, every time I play a game, it says, do you accept these terms and conditions? Like, who wrote these? I can tell you who wrote them. I write them now.
So are you the 49 pages that we have to scrub through, as Vitz said earlier, for Crash Team Racing? It's like, yes,
I'm sorry.
It's your
I
fault.
deeply apologize to everyone in the chat and everyone watching this. Yes, I am one of those people who writes those terms and conditions.
Scroll to the end before you can press accept. Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But yeah, so I was just like, yeah, this must be a thing, right? Video game lawyers. So literally, as soon as I had that thought, went to my computer, like, video game lawyers on Google, hit enter, bunch of companies came up. I just started applying to them, and that's literally how I got into it. I was like, I really enjoy gaming. I've now converted into studying law. It just makes sense to go down this avenue, and it's quite niche, but it's growing like bigger and bigger now. And yeah, some of the guys in chat said like, you do need lawyers to do stuff like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like there is a lot of contract stuff and intellectual property stuff going on, trademarks. Like that's another thing we do. We help clients like trademark the name of their game, the logos, things like that.
So it's quite varied then, like what?
Yeah, really varied,
That's
really
cool.
varied.
I mean, Jazz D just wants to assure you that we all read every single word of them, so don't worry, your hard work is being appreciated by us all.
Thanks, guys. If there's offensive content in a game, do you write the disclaimers? Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes I do write the disclaimers. A lot of the times we do stuff like what I was talking about with content check. Take a drink. Thanks, Robert.
Yes,
I will
yes.
do that.
Robert looking after. I'm just like, talk to me, guest.
I appreciate
I'm so
this is like when someone says hydrate on my stream. I'm just like, thank you for reminding me.
Thank you. It needs to happen. But yeah, like it's quite funny. All those, like I was reinstalling some old games the other day, and I was like, oh my god, everything's like except the terms and conditions. I'm like, shut up, fine.
Like Caesar just asked a great question. Relicensing classic games.
Oh, okay.
I can't tell you much about it, but basically, we do have a client who specializes in like remastering really old games, and something I'm working on right now is about this exact thing. Like it's literally about a company that existed 20 years ago. The company basically dissolved, like they disappeared. They stopped doing business. And the IP for those games that they made, they died with the company. So whenever a company like just disappears, or they stop doing business, any assets that the company owns, it basically becomes owned by the government.
Oh wow.
And so basically, there's this whole division of the government that deal with like lost or like dead IP. And basically, if you can prove that the IP died in the company and no one else is using it, then you can basically buy the IP from the government and you can do stuff with it. So yeah, I'm actually
cool.
working on something like that right now.
So is that like what happened with Telltale? Because obviously they died, but then somehow who was it, like Sky something or other, picked up the IP to be able to put the final game out. But now suddenly they're back and they're able to do The Wolf Among Us too. I'm very confused.
So sometimes like before the company shuts down, they will sell all of their assets. So with like all this THQ Nordic stuff, like when THQ first closed down, there was like a whole bunch of their IP for sale, like Darksiders or whatever. And then people can just basically make bids and offers and purchase it.
Yeah.
But the bit that I'm talking about is if the company closes down and nothing gets picked up. So like you might be this really random studio that no one's ever heard of and your game flops and you just close business. And then 10 years later, someone's like, that game was onto something. I want to do something with this, but the company's gone, and you basically have to like go through this whole government process. Yeah, that's pretty crazy that you brought that up because it's so relevant to like what I'm doing.
No, that's cool.
I cannot tell you what the company is or what I'm doing. That would be
Yes.
very bad of me because I have all the NDAs in the world.
And he's the one who wrote the laws, so...
Yeah, I write NDAs as well, so I'm sorry. If any of you guys are journalists or streamers or content creators, you get early access. I've also drafted like embargoes and like NDA documents, so...
That's pretty
all
cool.
fun and games.
Yeah, because we also discovered that we both just like our offices are near each other, so...
I know, yeah.
Good,
it's like literally down the street.
I know, right? So there's also your company is doing like a charity stream as well, right? Do you want to speak to that? Because we're both going to...
Oh, yeah, of course. So it's not actually my company, but
okay.
a client of mine, or a client that our firm works with. So we do something called pro bono, which is like basically free legal work for like sort of charities and just kind of people who maybe don't have the funding, but we want to help them out. And so we're working with Teenage Cancer Trust, and they are running a campaign in October where it's basically like a streamathon for a good cause, for like raising money for Teenage Cancer Trust. And they were looking for streamers. So if any of you out there are content creators or are streamers, like hit me up if you're interested in doing a charity stream. It's sometime in October. I think Lucy might be getting involved. I'm going to be getting involved.
It might be one of the reasons why I turned on the super chat thing. So I think you have to be monetized in order to do charity streams.
So that's awesome. So that's going on. I've never done charity streams, so I'm very excited. Yeah. And also, Jamie asked a great question.
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to find the link to link people up to the charity stream while you discuss.
So Jamie's asked, would you deal with contracts when game studios are acquired? For example, Xbox buying Bethesda. Yes, not to that scale. So that is like a huge acquisition, like billions of dollars. So my team is a bit smaller than that, but we do deal with what we call M&A or mergers and acquisitions. So when a company gets sold, we do deal with stuff like that or purchased, depending on which side we're acting for or advising them on. We do work like that. And I also, another thing that when you said Xbox, another thing, we also provide like strategic advice to clients about things like, should you release your game on Game Pass? So sometimes like I'll get a call from a client who we've just finished like a publishing deal with them, and they'll say, hey, we just got approached by Microsoft. They're offering us X amount of money for us to exclusively release our game on Xbox Game Pass for 12 months. Like, what do you think? And they'll send me through the paperwork. I'll have a read and be like, oh, like we can discuss the pros and cons. Like, games like Fall Guys, right? They launched. I'm not saying I didn't do anything on Fall Guys, but they launched on PS Plus, and they were super successful because they got like millions of people in. But like, if that game cost £20, would it have been as successful? Like, that's the question.
Yeah, I don't think I would have downloaded it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have purchased it for 20, but if it was free, I'll try it out. And then it's with friends, you get your stuff like that. So yeah, that stuff's really cool. Like, I've seen a lot of Game Pass contracts and games for like games to go onto streaming services and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool as well.
That's cool. Yeah, well, let's open up the floor to questions for Q&A. If anybody has any questions for Rahul about any of the things we've talked about, hit us up. Because Jamie's saying he's very much enjoying hearing about the inner workings of the business. I'm pleased.
I do, yeah. It's one of those things where I wish I could say more, but it's like I can't talk about anything specifically. Yeah. But it is fun. Like, I get a lot of satisfaction and joy from. There's two things. One, being on the inside, so I know about a lot of stuff that is happening or going to happen in the next year or so. Like, I know of a bunch of games that are coming out in 2023 that aren't announced yet. I'm actually going to be in the credits for some of them. So look out for that, people. It's the first time I'm going to get credited in some games, as like legal services or whatever. So that's going to be cool.
I didn't even know legal got put in the credits. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I look out for it because obviously whenever I roll credits on anything, I look out for it. And I know a couple of the legal guys at Sony. So obviously sometimes we work with your guys. I see their names in all those AAA titles, and I'm like, I'm gonna be there one day, maybe. Any
Moby Games. That's the website. If you don't know if you heard of it, Moby Games.
Yes.
Yes, you'll be there.
Build a nice profile. And then the other thing, I get a lot of satisfaction of seeing the game come out. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of build up. You know, sometimes we close a deal and then like a publishing deal, and then the game takes 2 or 3 years to come out. So it's just a very satisfying thing where you've been working on this thing for ages, and you know, you've helped the developer find a publisher, close a deal, like get the funding they need. They finish the game, and then you can just see the product like on the store or like on a shop shelf. And it's just like, this is very like fulfilling for me. I really enjoy that. So yeah, that side of it is really awesome.
So do you have
there's loads of questions.
Oh, there you go then. Pick what you
man.
like. Because I was going to ask a question, but that's very rude of me. I've asked all the questions this evening. Got the monopoly on them.
I mean, okay, so Crash Test Gaming, how profitable for devs is Game Pass as opposed to selling it on disc digitally? I think the main thing is like, you have to think about what the game is and like what you're trying to achieve with it. So with Fall Guys, it's so important that you had a big player base and that there was like matchmaking was easy, because the benefit of Game Pass is that you get the money up front. So Microsoft will be like, here's $10 million to put the game exclusively on Xbox, like launch day one on Game Pass. So that's $10 million like in your bank. Like that's enough to fund your next 2 games maybe.
And it's an instant,
Okay, yeah.
But
then you're not going to get any money from sales, right? There are going to be no sales. So you might think, actually, this exclusivity is a problem. Like, actually, it might be better for me if I launched on Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox, and I'll make more money from sales of, like, just digital sales or the game on the shelf. So that's the kind of thing we think about. We look at the game, the mechanics, what we think the tail of it is going to be. Like, is it a short narrative game that will only take 5 hours to complete? Maybe then the upfront money is great because there's no like, you know, is there microtransactions? Because sometimes in these deals, if there are microtransactions, you're giving a share of that to Xbox as well. So, you know, the game costs, or maybe it's free to play, you put it on Xbox exclusively, but then 20% of all the microtransactions go to Xbox. You might think, actually, I could do better if it's on PlayStation as well. So there's those kind of considerations.
how much of it then, because it sounds quite interesting that a lot of the stuff is you need to know gaming somewhat. So is it like, you know, you need to have so much knowledge in lore, but I guess, you know, experience and knowledge of the gaming world is also like, important.
Especially on this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's really helpful to have like a working knowledge of what the market is like, what kind of games are succeeding, you know, what the strategies of the companies are. Like we talk, you know, all these different gaming podcasts talk about Sony's 10 live service games that they're working on at the same time, and they've purchased Fire Sprite because they're great at online, and Bungie because they can do online or whatever. Or Fire Sprite was for PC ports, I think. But like understanding all of that stuff and like what the business models are and how they're changing is really helpful. And it's really good for my job that I'm naturally interested in this stuff. And that's basically why they hired me, because they're like, we don't have to train him because he just does this stuff like for fun. Yeah, like I listen to gaming podcasts because I enjoy it. Yeah. Whereas if you were a non-gamer and they offered you this role, you'd have to like make a conscious effort to learn about all of this stuff, which is just harder.
That's awesome. Yeah. It sounds like you found like the perfect niche that you fit into.
Oh yeah, I love my job.
Yeah.
I really enjoy my job. It's great. Let's see what else.
PSU Game is asking, what's the biggest downside to working in legal?
It's just stressful. Like sometimes not everything is happy-go-lucky. Like sometimes you have to deal with stuff which is really problematic, like disputes. So if a publisher or if a developer is breaching their terms of the contract and you want to terminate it, but this is a whole like problem because of this, or someone's not being paid, or the game's been delayed, and like everyone's like the studio's running out of money, and they come to you because they're like, is there anything in this contract that can help us out, or we need to like do this really quick, urgent like loan agreement because we need the money, otherwise the lights won't stay on in the studio. There's like sometimes it can be really stressful, especially because I generally tend to deal with indie games, because that's sort of like our company's not like massive, so I don't really deal with people at Activision or EA. So sometimes it's very like, we need this, otherwise it's like game over for us. And I'm like, oh god, like, okay, I need to do all this stuff like really quickly, and so that that part's stressful. And then sometimes because things get urgent, the hours can be long. So sometimes I'll work really late, but I think that happens in a lot of jobs, and a lot of people have to do overtime. And at the end of the day, I really enjoy it. So
Yeah.
even if I don't enjoy it at the time, like the bigger picture, I'm glad that I'm doing a job that I like. So
Nice. What do you think the career progression is? Oh, Robert is also saying, take a drink. Robert
Yeah.
War is our resident
I appreciate you, Robert Ward. Thank you so much. 'Cause
resident hydration
I've not
doctor.
talked this much in a while. Like, I've been working from home, and I don't have a lot of calls this week, so I've not been speaking this much for a long time.
On the other hand, it's been like, human beings speak to me. I haven't spoke to many people today.
Ugh.
Oh, yeah. So I was just interested. What's the career then? Is it to stay in legal and?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's quite a niche area, and the more experienced I get in it, the more like valuable I become as a lawyer.
Sweet, yeah.
Because especially not to get too technical, but basically there's two types of like roles. There's like a private practice lawyer where I work at a law firm and then work with loads of different clients. Or there's like a in-house lawyer, and an in-house lawyer basically works for a specific company and only does work for that client. So PlayStation has a legal team. They are the legal team just for PlayStation. They'll only deal with Sony PlayStation stuff. So basically, I'm in private practice right now, so I've got a bunch of different clients, do a bunch of different stuff, but I could decide like, hey, I want to focus on one particular client or one particular area. So basically the path is either I keep going into private practice, become like a partner in the firm, become like really experienced, or I just move in and focus on like one specific company.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Basically the progression is just keep doing more law.
Yeah.
And keep learning more stuff.
Continue to build on the skills. All right, take a look at the thing. Maybe we'll do one last question here before we go to the last segment of the show. Anything catching your eye from the chat? We had some good questions from people so far.
Oh man, there's so many good questions. I could literally go on for like hours.
I'll give you two if you want to. If you want to take two. I also don't want you to die.
What legal advice do you have for YouTubers or streaming? That is a long conversation, but yeah, definitely something that I'm seeing a lot more of is like influencers and YouTubers like coming to me with contract questions.
Do I get that service?
If you get offered sponsorships or brand ambassador deals and things like that, then yeah, absolutely, because I advise on quite a lot of those.
Oh, wow.
And I think the main advice is to read your contracts.
Okay.
Like that is. And if you don't understand them, then find someone who can help you understand them. And like, again, I'm not trying to plug my own legal services, but I do like initial consultations where I'll just like explain something to you. So if you just have a question, like, sometimes in a streaming contract, they'll say, hey, like, let's say some brand approached you, like Razer, and they said, hey, like, we want to sponsor you and give you keyboards and headset and mice. But if you accept this, then you have to be exclusive and you can't do this and you can't do that. And there's restrictions on this. If you don't understand that, if you just send me the wording, I can just take a look and be like, basically it just means on your stream, you're not allowed to have any competitors' products. So like you have to just have Razer stuff.
The
on your stream.
illusion of just Razer.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. So it's like your keyboard has to be Razer, nothing, there can't be any logos of any competing companies on your stream, stuff like that. But basically, yeah, just read your contracts, and if you can't understand them or you're unsure of things, then just ask someone. Because again, like, a lot of people have friends who may like have, may be lawyers or may be able to understand like contracts, because a lot of business people understand contracts just because they deal with them every day. Maybe not like mechanically every single thing about them, but if you know someone who works in like a businessy kind of role, then just give them a quick ask and be like, what do you make of this? And yeah, if you're really struggling, like, I'm happy to chat to people and answer like sort of one-off questions.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember reading my flat contract. I'm not sure if I quite understood all of it, but I was like, sure, this sounds great. I get to live somewhere.
How much do I charge? Oh man, like I mean, we can talk about that, but for you guys, there's always mates rates for the smaller streamer.
And if
We're
you
here
would
for
like
the
Rahul
little guy.
services, you can use the hashtag LIWDL.
It's like a bat signal in the sky, just like hashtag Rahulahoop. I'm just like, yes, you called.
Someone was telling me don't sell out to Manscaped. Not yet.
Amazing.
Yeah, this chat is now sponsored by Manscaped. Not sponsored by Manscaped. So yeah, anything else that catches your fancy before we head to the strange relic vault?
Have I ever had to deal with copyright for game mechanics? For example, I know Shadow of Mordor had its Nemesis system game mechanic copyright for a long time. Yeah, so basically it's the type of protection is called a patent.
You can do
And
that
basically
for gameplay
you can
mechanics?
with certain things. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's very difficult to get a patent registered, because again, you have to find that line between stifling like creativity, and because a lot of games iterate on each other,
exactly.
right? Like
There would be no Crash Bandicoot without Sonic.
Yeah. So things like that, there are kind of limits on what you can get a patent over, but it is possible. And I've never had to deal with it myself because it's a very like technical area of law. But I have come across some examples that are really cool, like the concept of a ghost car in any kind of racing game.
Oh yeah.
Like that was actually patented by an arcade, like a company called Midway, who made arcade games and like arcade cabinets. And basically on their arcade machine, they were the first ever company to have a ghost car.
Yeah.
So like if you play multiple times, you get an option saying, do you want to see your ghost? Then it will be there. So that's a really cool one.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's something that you just take for granted. Like, there's loads of racing games where you obviously see your ghost or race against, the ghost of, like in Crash Team Racing, you kind of race against the ghost of your past as well.
Exactly. So patents like expire after a certain amount of time. So eventually people can use them, but for a little bit of time, it's supposed to like protect your innovation without stifling creativity.
Nice.
But another really cool one was like, what's it called? Toys to Life, or like Lego Dimensions.
Oh yeah.
Skylanders. Like there was a patent for those.
And all that.
I think Bandai Namco had one for like having mini games in the loading screens.
Oh.
So when a game was loading,
Yeah.
there would be like a little interactive game you could play. So they had a patent for that.
That's really cool. I did not know. I've learned something today. All right. Thank you, everybody, for the questions. Thank you for this, Rahul. I'll let you rest for a minute because this is now at the end of the show. And this is where we ask all the guests to add something to the Strange Relic Vault. It's been a while. So the Strange Relic Vault, for those of you that don't know, I got this idea from like, if I was going to make a game, I'd want to put like collectibles in the game. Like Uncharted has like all the treasures and that's why it's the Strange Relic. Exactly, but I liked the idea of the treasures being treasures to people, like as in like what's a personal treasure to somebody else? Because in Uncharted they got like, oh, the gold bangle or the whatever. So, but then obviously there's a strange
iron pot.
Yeah. But the Strange Relic is the Jak and Daxter precursor of. So I was like, what? So one day, if I ever make a video game, I would make everybody's collectibles as the collectibles in the game.
That's so cool. I love that.
That's what the idea is, but it's really hard to pitch it to people when I'm typing it. So that's why I always just go for it's like Room 101. Just you pick things right in with a cool story. So, Rahul, let's head over to the Strange Relic Vault and tell us all about your Strange Relic. There's a little fancy visual for this.
I think some people who know me are going to be able to guess what this relic is.
Mm-hmm. It's on the screen now. We're a bit
delayed. It's on the screen. Well, it is my lanyard collection.
Look at that.
So, if anyone who knows me knows that as we've discussed, I go to a lot of gaming events, and over the years I've accumulated a lot of merchandise and T-shirts and things, and basically realized that I don't have space to like store all of this stuff in my house. So now I specifically will only get lanyards from events because they're pretty universal. They're always
oh no.
They're always sorry, excuse me.
It's all right.
But yeah, they're always like at events, and a lot of stalls and booths will give them away as freebies. And so
You
I just
nabbed one for
decided,
work, where I...
there is a lanyard in that list, which I think is actually visible on the picture.
Picture.
It is like an
Oh, I see, yeah, the orange one.
SCIE like visitor pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like on the bottom there somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got some pretty cool ones in there. Like I've got like a staff lanyard from a BlizzCon, because the thing is, like, as I started collecting these, like, friends of mine have realized that I like collecting them. So like someone will go to BlizzCon or TwitchCon and they'll like send me lanyards or they'll collect them for me. So now it's just grown, and yeah, I've been building that collection for like the last 6 years or so.
Awesome. Do you have any
Which is pretty
favorites?
fun. I'd see, actually. I mean, the visitor one is pretty cool. The staff BlizzCon one is cool.
Yeah.
I have a Cyberpunk 2077 one, which was when I basically a friend of mine managed to sneak me in to like a press briefing at like a Gamescom. So they had like the developer walkthrough of a level, and it was all like behind closed doors. And they gave everyone a goodie bag at the end, so there was a Cyberpunk lanyard in there. So that was pretty cool. I didn't get one of the jackets though.
Oh, those jackets
was
were
for, like,
sweet.
That was for like the big dogs.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I wasn't big enough for that, but I still got that. I mean, I have a Crash Bandicoot lanyard, which I love. Got like a Monster Hunter one.
So
Yeah,
I remember, like you said at the beginning, you wanted to challenge people in the chat.
well, yeah, I just thought we'd have like a fun kind of interactive thing. So, as I am the lanyard lawyer, you know, as much as I collect them, I like to give things away. So I came up with a little competition. So, on this piece of paper, I have written. So last night I counted how many lanyards I have. It took a while. People in chat, first person to guess, guess the correct number of lanyards that's written on this piece of paper will get a prize from me, a physical prize. So go crazy. Like, we'll give you guys like a couple minutes, just spam
I put
numbers
the
in there.
picture
And
back
whoever,
up.
if we 3 is my guess. There's definitely.
Okay, what would I
there's
guess?
some that are pretty close already.
I'm going to say 177. Because I feel like it looks like a lot, but it might be deceptive. Because obviously...
I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I know...
Has anybody got the answer yet?
One person has been 2 away.
Oh my god, that is exciting. I'm guessing that it's in the 200s. That's... I feel like... Yeah. Oh... And which lanyard will they win?
Oh, so as the giveaway prize, I will of course provide a lanyard, and it is a PlayStation 4 Pro lanyard, which I think I got it from a Gamescom when the PS4 Pro was announced. Oh, someone is 1 away.
Oh my god! And this is one of your dupes, right? Oh, sorry, let me just deal with the spam.
Yeah, so this is a duplicate lanyard that I already have. Someone was 1 away.
Whoa. That is close. Sorry, I've dealt with the spam. Also, by the way, Robin, I might have accidentally hidden you from the channel for a bit. I apologise because I was trying to hit the spam.
No worries.
All right, so what?
All right, you can call it when you want to stop.
Okay.
Because there's one person who's 1 away.
I think
so
it's quite
if
cool
no
having
one,
the 1 away, like because there's so many.
All right, we're gonna count it down.
Yeah.
10 more seconds.
10, 9,
9,
8, 7.
You forgot what comes next.
Wait, I'm trying to do it at the same time as you. I think 6, 5, yeah, 4, 3, 2,
1. All right, we will call it there.
Who is Mr.
There is
Winner?
a winner. There was a person who said a number that was 1 away from the correct answer. So
For the reveal. Duh. So I'm guessing I was very close.
The number on the piece of paper is 122.
122.
And Young Soul in the chat said 121. So I believe, unless anyone else said the actual number, which was 122, I think Young Soul is the winner.
Congratulations.
Paul's in there with the at the end.
Yeah.
So, Young Soul, if you are still in the chat, yes, you're still here. If you want to DM me on Twitter, I will send you this lovely PS4 Pro lanyard.
Oh, that's awesome of you.
I don't know where you live, but we'll figure it out. Hopefully you live in the UK, but if not, you know, we'll figure out a way for.
You
I'll
can stick
find a
it
way
in
to
an
get this to you.
envelope because it's so thin.
Yeah.
It's just gonna be a letter. But
GG's everyone. I thought I wanted to do a bit of fun and give like a little something away because I as you can see, I love my lanyards, so thought I want to share that
Give
passion for lanyards with you guys.
this could be the start of his collection. You might have.
Yeah, this is, you can start your own collection.
Oh no! Well, thank you for bringing that to the show and wanting to like give something away. That's really kind of you. And thank you for your time here, despite being ill. You powered through like a real.
Yeah, I'm sorry if
hero.
you can. I don't know if you can edit the VOD in post and just like quiet down some of the coughs, but if not,
I don't do that.
I'm okay with it.
No, we appreciate your time. So there's a fly that keeps flying about me. We appreciate your time and speak to us. Do please check out Rahul on his socials down below there. When do you normally stream? Like what's the?
Yeah, so I stream usually on Sundays. Usually a Sunday morning. Maybe like in the afternoons. After I play Dungeons & Dragons with you guys.
Of course, yeah. Made it to
So
the
shout
weekend.
out to Vitz. Yeah, shout out to Vitz, our DM in the chat.
Thank you, Vitz.
But yeah, so usually stream on Sundays. Sometimes if I'm feeling up to it and I'm not too busy at work, I'll stream on weekdays. Usually can be found streaming either Genshin, Tower Fantasy, or some random indie game that I'm playing at the same time. So yeah, we'll just have to check out the channel. And yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, which I think links on the stream somewhere. I can't.
It's just
see
below
it.
your name. So if you did this, you would get it. Like mine's
Oh
there.
yeah, there we go.
Where?
Just,
Oh, no, you
somewhere.
need to the other side.
Oh no, okay, this
Yeah,
side.
there you go. There you go.
Okay.
Pro.
But yeah, so if you follow me on Twitter, you can find out what I'm playing and when I'm going live.
Awesome. And then hopefully we'll be doing the charity stream as well. So we'll make sure to check in on that. And that's all the time.
Oh
we
yeah,
have.
of course, yeah.
That's all the time we have for you here on Locking It Down with Lucy. Thank you, everybody, so much for being part of the conversation. Thank you, of course, Rahul, for your time this evening to come chat with
That was
us.
so fun.
I'm glad you
I
enjoyed
loved this
it.
conversation. It was great. I wish I wasn't as ill, but yeah, it was so fun. We definitely should do another one at some point.
I'd be definitely up for it. That's why I was like, I've got to get Rahul on the show. He's got so much knowledge in the video game and such an interesting person to talk to. So thank you.
Aw. Thanks, guys. And thank you for the chat being so welcoming and like all the questions. Like it was awesome. So I love you guys too.
Aw. They also reminded me, I always forget to end the poll. So your poll was about Overwatch 2. I'm ending the poll in 5,
Oh yeah.
4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see. So you asked if people are playing or managing to get into a game of Overwatch 2. 3% say yes, it's smooth sailing for me. That's the lowest.
Yeah, well that's to be expected.
8% say there's an Overwatch 2 question mark. 14% say no, was stuck in the queue for hours, and then 72% have just no interest in Overwatch 2.
Fair
Wrong
enough.
audience.
Fair enough. I was in the no, I was stuck in a queue for hours, which is
Yes.
what prompted me to ask this question. Because I was like, I downloaded it. I was like, you know what? New game. We'll check it out, see what it's about. Sat down in the queue of 5,000 people ahead of me, and I was like, nope, I don't have time for this. I'm done.
Yeah. I shall be back tomorrow to start the 20k stream, so I'll see you guys then. Also, not sure what the status of next week's live show is because I'm going on holiday. So it might, yes, I'm going to France, but
Oh, very exciting.
it's like one of those things where the flight's like super early Friday morning, so I might like not have time on Thursday, but I might do a cheeky Wednesday or skip. I'm not sure. Keep your eye out on the discourse to find out because I would like to do the show because I enjoy it. So that's what's coming up this week. I hope you enjoy it too. And we shall see you all next time for another edition of Locking It Down with Lucy. Thank you again, Rahul. Thank you very much, everyone chat. And this
Thank
is
you,
the point
guys.
where we wave awkwardly for a bit whilst we wait for the stream. It is a while that you have to wave.
Oh, okay.